Brett wants to know, can you show me how to service my SPD pedals? Shimano SPD pedals set the benchmark in terms of longevity and consistency. Fortunately, they're very easy to service as well, so you'll be able to get years and years of trouble-free use out of your pedals. Let's walk through the process of servicing your SPD clipless pedals. First thing you'll want to do is place the pedal in a vise with soft jaws and secure it. If you don't have soft jaws, you can use an 8mm Allen by securing it in the vise and resting the pedal on the end of the Allen. Now we can loosen the pedal body from the axle. To remove the pedal body, various tools are necessary depending on which generation pedals you have. Newer pedals, like this XT all-mountain pedal, require a 17mm cone wrench to hold the lock bolt while turning the pedal to break it free. Keep in mind that the right side pedal is left-hand or reverse threaded. Once the pedal body is loose from the axle, you can pull it off and clean it out. Before adjusting the bearings on the axle, clean off all the old grease so you have a clean surface to work with. Adjusting the axle bearings is done with a 7mm and 10mm open wrench. You can also use a 7mm socket if you don't have a 7mm open wrench. To adjust the bearings, loosen the lock nut with the 7mm wrench or socket, and then adjust the bearings with the 10mm wrench. Making this adjustment is almost exactly like adjusting a cup and cone style hub. Tighten down the nut with a 10mm wrench until there is no play in the axle. However, oftentimes it doesn't take much more than being finger tight to remove the play. Once you have the proper adjustment on the bearings, you'll tighten down the lock nut with the 7mm wrench while holding the adjustment with the 10mm wrench. If after tightening the lock nut the axle feels too stiff, break it free again and then use the 10mm wrench to back the adjustment nut off the bearings and tighten to the lock nut. The last thing you'll need to do is put the pedal body back on the axle. Before doing this, you'll need to put a small amount of grease in the body. Shimano recommends their special /Durace grease that is also found in their hubs, but there is some flexibility here. If you live in a wet area, a waterproof grease may be a good idea. I like Dumontec's MR grease because while it is waterproof, it's not as thick as some other waterproof greases on the market and can be thinned even further with a few drops of their liquid grease if you feel it's necessary. The body only needs a small amount of grease, and a little on the end of the axle is good as well. All that's left now is to thread the pedal body back onto the axle. Slide the body back on the axle and tighten it down. Again, pay attention to which pedal you're working on and make sure you're turning it the correct way to tighten it, and that's all there is to it. Luckily, the process is similar for any SPD or even SPD SL pedal you may have. If you want your question asked on Ask a Mechanic presented by Cyclery, send your inquiry to webletters@competitorgroup.com.